that would come and help us and provide materials for us. He told me about this conference my junior year, and I was like, no, I don't want to go. And then my senior year, he said, you sure you want to go to this one? I was like, okay, since I'm graduating, I might as well do it. So I ended up going to this conference, and this was in Atlanta. This was in 2001. And when I got there, I was like, man, you could see hundreds of just college students, African American, that looked like me. And then we went to the conference. They were like praising God. They was standing on top of the chairs, worshiping. I was like, wow. It just really took me, and I was like, man, this is what Impact is all about. And there was a speaker, and he shared, and he was saying, if anybody want to get involved with either full-time ministry or wherever God has called you to, do a year commitment. And then I signed this commitment form sheet, and I was like, you know what, I want to serve with Impact for a year, and from there, God did His thing. So that's how I really got involved with the ministry.
Wow. And I know there's probably a lot of people who are listening to us wondering, well, what is this Impact? Well, we're about to show you that in a second, but for now, right now, I just want to make sure that you hear the testimonies and of how both Kinley and Janelle actually became a part of Impact. Terrell, tell us, how did you become involved in the ministry?
Well, it was similar in a way. One way was at that conference where my life was changed. I definitely didn't anticipate being a full-time missionary at all. I was just excited about Jesus, and I was like, hey, let's go back to our school and tell everybody about it. There were a couple of other students from my campus who went as well, and I was just excited to tell people about the Lord. And I remember that spring I went on a missions trip, and that summer I spent my summer on a missions trip as well. And it just grew a lot, learned a lot of things, but I always had a heart for reaching people of color. And so when we got back, I was still excited, but I was about to graduate. That was my senior year, and we had kind of started a ministry on our campus, and it was just like, man, I just got started. This ended already? And so that's kind of how I was like, well, I want to continue, doing this. And so I was like, okay, I'll do an internship, and an internship, or fellowship is what it's called, actually, turned into 5 years later. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Now, Impact actually launches you into the mission field. So I'm sure you guys get to travel quite a bit and see a lot. I always tell my children, I say, hey, listen, you have to come outside of Bowie sometimes, because that's where we live, in Bowie, right here. I say, the world is a book, and you're only seeing one page. So being that you guys travel quite a bit, you get to see some different pages. Why don't you just if you can just share, one place you've been to, or one place the Lord has led you to while you're a part of Impact that tremendously either changed your life or the Lord used you to change the life of someone else. What would you say, Kinley?
I remember it was in 2002. It was during that conference, they invited students to be part of this mission called Operation Sunrise, and that is to bring at least 2,000 students to spread the word. It was 50-50-50. I think that's what it is, to go to 50 countries in Africa, and to reach people in 50 days, and to reach 50 million people. And I was part of that, and we got involved at Cape Town, South Africa, and we were, during that time, it was 300 students, and that was the most that we mobilized, like African American, to go overseas. And thank God I was part of the Cape Town trip, and that's how I really just got excited about ministry, and just seeing a lot of life changes, not amongst the people, like we all clicked as a group, and the students got involved, and just reaching out to the lost, and going to the campus. Is one of the campuses that we visited was University of Western Cape Town, and we threw a concert there, and we had over like 200 students that came, and out of that, probably a lot of people confessed to know Jesus Christ. So
wow.
That was just exciting, just to be part of that. Because the thing about it is that they, how they view African American, and there was this one example. We were sharing our faith, and there was this one kid, and the mother would tap me, and she's like, my son wants to meet you, and I was like, why? He's like, he's never seen an African American before. He wants to shake your hands. So I was like, wow. So that was just hearing that. It's like, so it's just amazing to share my testimony and everything. So that's how just the excitement of going overseas.
Now, where were you when this happened with the mother and the child? Where were you?
I was at a township in Cape Town, South Africa.
And they've never seen an African American?
This is what they see on TV, so they never actually see one. Like, oh, so like, wow, he wants to shake your hand. So that was just amazing.
No wonder people think when they come over here we're crazy. Because if they're just looking at TV, my goodness, what a misrepresentation of
that is
a particular race of people. I would never want to judge or know a race from TV, trust me. So, how about you?
We've been quite a few places. I'm kind of torn. Cape Town was significant for me. I went for the first time last summer just to see. I think it just evolved my perspective of missions and what missions really looks like. You know, not only is it local, but it's also wider and it's broader. And I think you just have an appreciation for different cultures and things that we take for granted a lot here. Even something as simple as hot water. You know, it's you just learn like, wow, you know, this is really not a big deal in the big picture, the big scheme of things. But I'd say probably my most memorable, it's not a particular place, but just serving with impact. We mentor students, Kelly and I. And I got exposed to the Midwest in 2004 when I graduated because I was working with schools out there. And they just do ministry a little bit different out there, but it was really good for me to be able to be exposed to that, to see, okay, there's life outside of the East Coast, and just to see the different ways that you have to communicate in order to be effective, depending on the region, and to reach people for the gospel. And out of that, I've developed some really good relationships with some of the women that I've mentored in that region. So I'd say that's probably my most memorable, but it's not a particular time or place as much as it is a region. So,
Wow, great. That's wonderful, you know, to be able to experience, you know, the different parts of the world. I really feel a strong calling to the European nations. I really do. As a matter of fact, I had the opportunity to go to Budapest and minister there, and also I had an opportunity to go to Ukraine.
Wow.
And I went up into some Gypsy mountains in Russia.
Wow.
So it was a pretty interesting encounter. One of the things I really appreciated about the whole encounter was the place I went in Ukraine was called Makacheva. And this part of Ukraine, they had never seen African American either.
Wow.
So it was so funny because I was on the street one day and one of the boys says, "Look, Mommy, he looks like the dirt." So, you know, she's like, wow, they were just so amazed. I would go in a grocery store and I carried an interpreter everywhere I went because in Ukraine, they speak Ukrainian or Russian. And so I always had an interpreter with me, but everybody would just stop what they're doing and just look at me.
Wow.
So, you know, it would probably be sort of offensive if people didn't understand, but to me, it was like, it was a wonderfully amazing type of awakening for me personally that, you know, wow, there's literally not been African Americans in this part of the world where people have actually seen them outside of, and back there they had just broken down the walls and, you know, communism and stuff, so they only saw what the state let them see, so they didn't even see it through TV a lot of times. So this was just like totally new. I went over there to help build leadership because once you've been under the communism spirit, or the spirit of communism, should I say, you know, to the degree where, you know, the government sufficiently provided everything for you, you didn't have to do it. Can you imagine when that all goes away, people don't know what to do? So we went over there to train leaders for a month, and that was probably one of the most impacting, you know, trips I had as well.
Wow.
So before I show the video of impact, because I want people to be able to experience the video, to just hear the testimonies of how some people's lives were changed. Let me just ask you one other question. You know, I know both of you travel quite a bit, you know, and because when you travel, my father was in the military, so we moved around quite a bit as well. There's a sense sometimes of instability, you know, to the younger person. You will seem like, you know, you're never stable. But it was funny because somebody told me one day, I see you here, I see you here, I see you here, I see you here. And I was thinking, I hope not, because I don't want to be here, 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 here. And you never equate that to, you know, oh, this is where God is sending you to different places. And so it takes a special, to me, it takes a very special security and love in the Lord for you to be secure where you're not feeling those feelings like when you go visit a family and you see them well established in their home, they've been there for 20 years.